Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine, and we're happy that today, once again, Dr. Robert Hoffman is with us. Robert, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here, Joe. Always.
Always a pleasure. So,
Me too.
This week we're going to jump ship a little bit and get more into the community aspect of the work we're doing. My update is really minimal. Since the last time we talked, I'm slowly recovering from that last round of chemo and gaining a little bit of strength. It just really knocked me for a loop last time. So I had like 0 batteries. My nausea was at a 12 out of 10, and the taste in my mouth was just nasty as hell. But every day it gets a little better, and I got nothing to complain about. I'll take this all day long over a giant lump sticking out of my neck, and it's just the cost of doing business out here, and I'm glad I'm getting a little stronger every day. My brain's starting to turn back on a little bit. That's the other thing. It's like your brain gets scrambled. You just forget everything, and you don't. I don't know. It's just like it's like you're drunk without any fun. And but it doesn't.
Chemo fog.
It's getting better every day. And today I want to talk about a couple of things. One, you sent me over, or Shahiro sent me over an email that had 13 case studies, and I started looking through them, and these are all published reports that are published in a peer-reviewed periodical or site, the PubMed.
Freely available to everybody, Joe.
Right.
All listed on PubMed.
And you know what's interesting? I've had a lot of really interesting guests on in the last few weeks, and more doctors and scientists have been coming on my show, various disciplines and various topics. But whenever, I always find a way to throw my situation into the story because something always comes up that I can tie it to. And then when I talk to them about, that we're publishing the case study on PubMed, all of a sudden their attention changes. Like they get, like, these are people that rely on this resource for quality information, and it comes from a lot of different sources. Some of it's case studies. Sometimes it's a, a, a trial. Sometimes it's an IRB. There's all these different things that can be published, but the point is it's all peer reviewed and it's all vetted. It's not just, somebody throwing out on their YouTube channel, this is this thing I did and this study that we conducted. There's checks and balances with this, and the scientists and doctors that I've been talking to, every time I mention, that site, all of a sudden they're like, oh, interesting, let me look that up. And so really it carries some weight. And I want our listeners to realize, there's information comes at us from all these sources, and social media is throwing studies at us right and left, and YouTube and your friends and family and books. And, you just got to take your time and really question and source your information and realize, where's it coming from? Is this just because somebody says that word study? That doesn't mean a damn thing unless it's really got some bona fides and somebody else is looking at it. They're trying to prove the opposite. What's your thoughts on all that?
Sorry, Joe.
No, I was saying, what are your thoughts about that whole line of thinking that, we really have to be critical with the information that's coming our way?
Well, I just can tell you the small experience I had last month. Russian TV came to interview me.
Right.
And they watched a podcast. I guess this goes all over the world.
Yep.
Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson.
Right.
And Gibson went on that podcast and said, yeah, I got 3 friends with stage 4 cancer. They took ivermectin, fenbendazole, and I don't know, methylene blue or whatever. They're all cured.
Yeah.
And the interviewer asked me and said, what do you think about that? And I said, I only take in information from peer-reviewed papers in established journals.
Right.
That was my answer.
Yeah.
So Mel Gibson can say anything he wants.
Sure.
And if it's really true, it should be published.
Right.
And it should be vetted by peer review. I mean, if that's a very spectacular result, and that guy is going to sit there with that ridiculous smile he has and tell us this is the truth. I don't think that's responsible at all.
Agreed. And especially when somebody has a voice that, people will listen to for whatever reason, whether you're
Well, he's a movie actor.
Exactly. There's
I
nothing.
mean, that makes him an expert on cancer.
Right. Yeah. No, and that's the problem though, is somebody gets a little bit of fame, they get a name, and then they say a thing, and automatically they're, sort of accepted as some kind of an authority on the subject, and
Yeah,
people are
yeah.
willing.
And you know what the Russians TV asked me, are you worried that people will give up standard therapy for this? And my answer to them was, with very few exceptions, I don't accept patients who give up standard therapy.
Right.
We need to improve standard therapy, not replace it with um, replace it with therapy that's not been shown to be effective, especially clinical trials at least, or a lot of case studies, published articles. There's various degrees of evidence, but we need some at least reasonable evidence. And yeah, like you said, somebody has a fame and they can take advantage of that fame to say anything they want.
Right.
It's not good. And the cancer patient is probably the most vulnerable person there is.
100%.
They're so, dependent. And to hear that kind of stuff and think about giving up standard therapy, that's terrible.
It's funny. There's two edges to that, because standard therapy, sometimes their first course of action is maybe the most dramatic and most invasive and most potentially harmful, whereas common sense would say, well, let's look at all the options as to what might work, and then let's look at the thing that might be the most effective and the least harmful. And then if we have to go to something more harmful, well, then, you have that to fall back on. I was talking to a chiropractor the other day, and she's working with cutting edge technology, and her thinking is that, a lot of back surgeries are unsuccessful, and they lead to even more problems, maybe a lot more so even than standard of care for cancer is, because it's just really dicey. You're in there with so many potential problems to happen, and you don't know how your body's going to accept the changes, and just so many things can happen. And her thinking is, well, I have solutions that could help you and definitely won't hurt you. And so it would make sense to try something like that before you go and jump into a surgery that you can't undo once you've done. And, like the standard of care, like when I first went into UCI, first guy I talked to was the surgeon. And his answer was, we're going to give you a little radiation chemo, and then we're going to cut this thing out of you. And I said, okay, well, I didn't know any different. So I'm just listening to him and trying to evaluate, and not making any commitments, but just gathering information. Then I go to the radiologist. First thing he says is, you do not want surgery. And I'm like, whoa, you guys are on the same team. You're working out of the same clinic. And one's telling me one thing, one's telling me something else. But then the radiologist says, well, what we need to give you is 30 to 40 high dose radiation along with a little chemo. And that will probably make it so you won't need the surgery. And then I go do research on that, and I go, well, that's going to leave me potentially debilitated, maybe lose my voice, maybe not be able to swallow, maybe be stuck on a feeding tube all my life, maybe my teeth fall out, maybe bones break. There's all these potential problems. And there's good evidence that cancer could return in a different place, a different way. It also is shown to be a pretty effective treatment for most people. Okay, great. I got to weigh all that together. And then I talked to the chemo doctor, and she's like, yeah, I work with the radiologist. We do this thing together. Then I meet Dr. Hoffman and the group, and we start talking about maybe some other solutions that can be combined together using the best of some of the Western standard of care, along with some of these discoveries with diet and even these oxidative therapies that Dr. Regimen and some of the others are working with. And we came up with a protocol that worked for me and would probably work for anybody that had the problem I had, the way that I had it. For anybody else, I don't know, but I know that like we were able to look and say it was a necessity. I had to come up with something that worked because it was going to kill me otherwise. So it was really, I didn't have a whole lot of choice. I had to act and find something. But we found something that was very unlikely to have a lasting negative effect and might do a really good job at solving the problem, right?
Hi, this is Joe Grumbine, and I wanted to share an update. The platform that hosts this podcast has made some changes to the subscriber settings, and we have a number of subscriber-only episodes that we offer to the supporters, and for a minimum of $3 a month, we can get you signed up. And if you're already signed up and you're having some kind of trouble locating these episodes in the other platforms, I would say maybe the best answer is to unsubscribe and then resubscribe. I'm sorry for the hassle. I don't have any way to make a change, but I'm very grateful for all the support. Thank you.
Well, Joe, and your point is good. And the thing is, the bottom line of what you say is the cancer patient has to do homework like
Right.
you did. So surgery is standard care.
Yep.
Radiation is standard care. Chemo is standard care. Combination of any of the above, all standard care. There's a lot of options for standard care.
Right.
So the cancer patient has to do homework or consult with people that'll tell them, how should I say, the informed truth
Right.
that you don't have to do all these things at once. There is a very widely used protocol, what's called neoadjuvant chemotherapy. That
Yep.
means chemotherapy before you do something else.
Exactly.
Surgery, radiation. And this will have the least damage to you among all the others. And you can always go to the other parts of standard care radiation surgery if the neoadjuvant chemo doesn't work. So my
Exactly.
point is there's a pretty good menu to choose for standard care, and you're all within standard care. And so, but my previous point was we still need to stay within the confines of standard care. One part of it, or multiple parts, we can't give up standard care, and expect to have a good outcome because some Mel Gibson says so, or some quack that has a program says so. So the cancer patient, the poor cancer patient, without doing a lot of homework, is at the mercy of the oncologist.
Right.
And the oncologist can be really capricious. You never know.
Right.
What they're going to prescribe. And it's very easy for the cancer patient to say, okay, doc, whatever you say, I got cancer, help me out. And the oncologist says, sure, I'm going to help you out. And I'm sure the oncologist means well.
Of course.
But it's the cancer patient whose life is on the line, not the oncologist.
100%.
So the cancer patient, unless the cancer patient does a lot of homework, they're at the mercy of the system. The system means well, but it doesn't work that well.
So true.
So, and a lot of folks, they don't have the wherewithal to do the homework. They're just putting themselves at the mercy.
Well, and another,
a lot of folks, I think, that may not be doing homework could do it.
exactly.
But they need encouragement. They're not going to do it on their own. They need this podcast, or they need our Zoom meeting.
Yeah. The community's
2 million people who are going to get cancer in the United States this year. How many are going to be on either of those? 100?
Not enough. Yeah.
So, the situation is just out of control. We try to help one person at a time. That's all we can do. I'm so happy to help one person at a time.
Well, speaking of that,
it'd be great to help 1,000 at a time, but we just don't have that ability.
Well, speaking of one person at a time, the community to me is so important, that not only just for, information from trusted sources. These are all people that have gone through it. Or they're sharing their
Nobody's more trustworthy than a cancer patient telling you about his or her cancer.
Exactly. And so when I sit in that room with these people, I'm talking, it's funny. Before I was diagnosed, you hear about the club, right? You don't know until you know. And once you get it, you're right. It's true. Nobody can understand what it is like unless you've gone through it, because you just can't. But when you're in a room of people who have all gone through it and are going through it and are dealing with the, long-term lifetime effects of this, it's a room that you just can feel okay to be vulnerable. You feel like you can tell them anything, and I think that's really important. The stakes are so high with the cancer patient that, if somebody decides, well, I'm gonna just kind of take a chance and go do a thing, and maybe it works a little bit, but then that cancer comes back. It comes back stronger and meaner and more capable and ready to spread. And every time you miss with cancer, it's more likely to come back and spread throughout your body and do you some real damage. So you've got to come up with your best plan the first time out, if you can possibly, because each time you miss, it just gets worse. And
Yeah.
it's troubling for me. I came from a place where I thought, well, let's just go at this from the most natural. There's an answer for everything in a plant here and there. And yeah, maybe that's true, but we haven't figured that out. That's for sure. And the truth is you gotta do the research and figure out what's the best thing for what you got and go at it 100%. Don't mess around and dabble with something when you can hit it hard. Um, Now, this group that we're in, to me, is one of the most important resources, aside from you and all the work and the research you've done and the, developing the methionase and really getting this diet down to an art and a science. But the people sharing their experiences with this has been powerful. And we find over and over again that when somebody stays on a protocol that works, generally they stay on a course, right? And then all of a sudden,
Yeah, the diligent people do better. There's no question.
yeah.
It's not 100%, but
Oh,
that's the trend.
what with these people we're talking about, generally, you got Dr. Exume that's still battling metastasis, and he's going at a really aggressive chess game, and it can be like that. I think a couple of the other ones are in a pretty difficult spot that they're finding their way through. But most of them, if you can get it to where you got it under control even a little bit, you can find an answer that keeps it there. But then every once in a while, doctor makes a change, and all of a sudden things start going crazy. And we've got one of the members that we're dealing with now. And why don't you share the story? Because I think it's important for people to realize that even though you might be on a path where you're in remission or whatever they call it, you've got it resolved and you're on some sort of a maintenance program, you're never done. And you've got to be diligent and mindful the whole way through.
Well, we have one patient. The story is not fully clear yet,
Right.
but it seems like this lady who had metastatic breast cancer, it really looked like it was very much toward remission, stable for 2 or 3 years. All of a sudden in June, her blood marker numbers, biomarker numbers started just climbing every few weeks. And the PET scan showed spread to the bones, to the abdomen. And I talked with her, and she says, yeah, I went down to the oncologist put me on low dose of the drug I was taking. I think the numbers started going up in June. I think she's maybe not clear exactly when she started the low dose, but I suspect it was in June. Anyway, she went on low dose and her numbers are just climbing. I mean, if this story is correct, and it's easy for the patient to get confused,
Oh, yeah.
but if this story is correct, it's a lesson for everybody. When the doc gives you, oh, we're going to change this or that, get a second opinion. I mean, here's the lady under she's been doing so well. And all of a sudden the numbers go up every 2-3 weeks. The blood marker, the biomarkers in the blood for breast cancer. So I don't know. This is an unfinished story right now, but I have a feeling, at least, even if it's not all exactly what I'm saying, what I'm trying to get across is when you're doing well and the doctor tells you to change something, get another opinion.
Yeah, I couldn't agree
I don't
more.
know where they come from. And
Was the drugs that she was on, did it have some kind of a lasting negative side effect?
yeah, at high dose, it was very nasty.
Okay.
She couldn't get off the couch. It's a very popular drug, very expensive. It's called Enhertu.
Okay.
So at high dose, she couldn't get off the couch.
Got it.
So a couple of years ago, she went to medium dose and has done really well. And what she told me today or yesterday, I went, the doctor, or whatever his name is, told me to go down to low dose.
Mhm.
And I think she's not quite clear when that happened,
Right.
but I surmised that it's directly concordant with going down to the low dose and the numbers going up.
It makes sense. I mean, she didn't change anything else. I mean, she's still on the
No,
diet. She's still
no.
doing everything else right.
And why would a cancer, steady Eddie all these years, all of a sudden make a kind of a discontinuous change?
Right.
I don't know. We'll learn more. But what I want to say here, we'll get more information on this story and share with the folks. But my point is, when the doc tells you to change something and you're doing well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know sometimes where people are coming from. But my point is the cancer patient has to be so aware, so diligent, study hard. Your life depends on it. You can't just leave your life in the hands of somebody else.
Well, it couldn't be truer words, that as well-meaning as a doctor is, he's never going to put the attention to your case the way you would.
Of course not.
You can't. It's not even a possibility. So he's got whatever, 5, 10 minutes, maybe half an hour to go look through your file, make some decisions based on his knowledge and understanding of it all. And I'm sure he's always going to do the best that he knows, but that's it. That's what you get. And even like you said, getting a second opinion or more, I would say, get
Or use AI,
yeah, use every
learn. And now these days you can learn anything with AI. AI is your tutor.
agreed. And we have access to literally all the information on the planet at our fingertips right now, aside from, bits and pieces of some classified crap. But other than that, it's all available. We can access it one way or another, the same
Yeah.
information the doctors have. And even more, because the doctors aren't going to go outside of their curriculum and
Or
the
their comfort zone.
comfort zone. That's the way they're trained. They go to their conferences and they
But the good thing is some doctors like Dr. Song are different. You got a story in UC
right,
Irvine and that was the gospel truth, and it turns out it wasn't, that there is
right.
other things to do. This particular patient now has been told there's no more drugs left for her, only clinical trials.
Wow.
And you and we're not medical oncologists, but we know that isn't right.
At all.
We know it.
So you put on your Superman cape once again. You got a hold of Dr. Song, and he agreed to see her.
Yeah, he didn't agree to take her yet.
Oh no, but at
And
least
I told her you got to be real indignant
right.
and really angry at your present oncologist. She said, "Don't worry, I can handle that."
Well, this Sunday
Hopefully.
on the call, I'm going to give her a lesson of what I discovered worked with this guy. And he's a great guy. And if you can understand kind of, I mean, obviously I only know him for, the time I've spent with him, but I know what I did and the response that I've gotten from him. And a few things. Number one, presenting, the injustice of, you know, you know, an answer that might help you, and your doctor wouldn't help you, and there's that injustice.
That's the point, Joe.
Yeah,
Exactly. Your doctor wouldn't help you, and this is what is happening to this lady.
right.
Exactly what happened to you.
Yes.
He said, There's nothing more. All we got is clinical trials.
Right.
And I said to her, you clinical trial, you're just going to be a big mouse.
Right. Yeah, you have no
Clinical
idea.
trial is not for your benefit. It's for the doc. In this case, he's an academic UCLA doc
Right.
to maybe become more promoted.
Yeah. Very similar to the
A
UCI.
drug company to make more billions.
Right. No, absolutely. It's basically the same system, the UC system. It's all, it's all funded the same. They're all motivated by the same things. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just not necessarily good for you if you're in a spot like hers. And,
Yeah.
so that's the most important thing, but also her willingness to get out there and do the hard thing, whatever it is. When I told him, I go, I'll do whatever it takes. If I got to move down to San Diego, I'll move down to San Diego. You tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. And when he saw my persistence and willingness to whatever, I want to live, and I have an answer, and we can do this together. And his words to me were, I'm not going to leave you stranded. Those were his actual words.
Yeah. Beautiful words.
Yeah. And once he said that to me, I was like, okay, I'm going to be all right. Like, like that lifeline got thrown to me and I grabbed on, and I'm not going to go under. So, yeah, hopefully, she lives further away than I do. And hopefully that's not going to be an obstacle.
One more hour. Big deal.
Yeah. And she's willing to do what it takes. And it really doesn't matter where you live if you're willing to go and do what it takes. So,
Right.
to me, it's like, look, if you got a far doctor's appointment,
You're going to go to Japan for your med pet.
Exactly. I couldn't go farther, really. Like, that's about as far as you can go. And I'm going to do what it takes. And I'm going to raise up the money. I'm going to carve out the time. I'm going to get my ass over there.
And it's not that much money.
Oh,
probably the whole thing will be under $5,000, including the treatment.
And we will just make it work.
Clive, Chihiro will help you get a good airfare.
Yeah.
A $60 a night place.
Exactly.
And
no, it's gonna
come under $5,000.
Yeah, and it's a very solvable problem, and that's the thing that, to me, like, when you get a mindset that says, I'm going to kick this all the way, and I know where I'm going. I'm going to have that met pet that shows me I got no cancer in me, and we're going to create a good, solid maintenance program, and I'm going to follow it to the T, and we're going to check back every 18 to 24 months, and we'll just make regular trips to Japan, and we'll be on it. We know what we got going on.
Yeah.
So hopefully, she'll be able to connect with Dr. Song in a similar fashion that I did. And maybe, maybe he comes up with something that's not even on the menu that they even know. Maybe there's a chemo answer. Maybe there's
well, Dr. Sato will have something different for sure if it's needed.
Right, exactly. And who knows, maybe with this lady just going back on that medium dose of the drug would do what it needed to. I mean,
it may.
I don't know.
And her oncologist is not willing to do it.
Wow. All right. Well,
I don't get it. I don't know. There's some disconnect, or I'm not getting it. I don't know, but her numbers are going up.
Well, hopefully she's able to get
June, July, August, September, up.
Wow.
So
we got to act quick. That's the key.
And the PET scan, bone mets, abdominal mets.
Wow.
Jesus. I showed her the new paper that you got, the newest one, Joe. Number 13.
Uh-huh.
We went over that on PubMed together.
Oh, good.
And she saw the before and the after of this breast cancer lady who was just whole body full of mets, and the after picture was clean. She says, I want to be like that. I says, well, you're going to be.
That's perfect. Good.
This lady was told to go to hospice.
Yeah, that's
right? And that's it. They all, most in the developed world, you get first line chemo, maybe radiation, maybe surgery. You get second line chemo, you fail second line, not much more we can do for you, but we'll put you on a clinical trial.
right.
You fail that, hospice.
Wow.
That's the way it is. So this lady now is at the stage of clinical trial, and the chance of that helping her is really small. And then the next thing that she's going to be told, go to hospice.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
Gosh, it's so awful, Joe.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Um,
And that's what we're here for. Like you said, one patient at a time. We're going to
yeah,
dig in and do everything we can. And that includes research, it includes connection, it includes, support, emotional, mental, everything what we can offer. I mean, at the end of the day, that will to fight is as important as the answers that you get. You gotta, if you lose your hope, everything falls to shit real quick. And
for sure.
we got to keep that from happening. And I'm looking forward to this Sunday and getting out there, and
Yeah, you got to give her a little bit tutoring. I think
oh, I will.
she gets it. She really gets it already. But
She's a smart lady. You can tell she's
yeah, but you've been through it with the
right.
same doc. You got him to take you on when he wasn't
Yeah.
gonna.
I'll share the nuance of what I've learned and hopefully give her a little bit of a tool that she'll be able to pull from.
Yeah.
So
Well, the bottom line is Dr. Song is a kind man. He's
yeah,
kind.
and
That's
cap
clear.
yeah, and he's very capable
Yep. He's been in the business more than half a century.
and he's on it. Like I mean, you look and even just in his clinic, he's got books stacked all over the place. You can tell he's reading up on the latest things all the time. Like he's on this, he's no slouch when it comes to this. He's not just doing that same old thing over and over again.
No,
He's even like, with the immunotherapy, he's
I
got
mean, that's cutting edge, Joe.
I know, and we're working it in a way that's contrary to what the studies have shown their results, which had all kinds of negative side effects. And what we're doing is, in my opinion, much more likely to have a good result without the negative side effects. And he's
Well,
right.
you haven't had any discernible side effects so far,
None
and
at
that's
all.
really good.
Yeah, and my blood work is good. My immune system's responding well. And now that I'm done with the chemo, I'm really excited to see the blood work start coming back stronger and stronger, instead of getting beat back.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It'll those markers that have been going back and forth, hopefully they're just gonna get to that ultimum spot and just stay that way.
Yeah.
So, well, Robert, as always, it's great to have you here.
Thank you,
Sometimes
Joe. Great to be here. Every time we have a great discussion, we move forward.
exactly, and I believe that we're going to be able to help this lady,
Me
and
too. I'm 100% on that one. We're going to help her.
also the information you sent me, I forwarded over to Dr. Crowley, that compounding pharmacist I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And he responded quickly. He was really grateful. I sent that to him, and I know he's going to take his time and read through this stuff. So,
Well, this guy may be our partner to make our own Hominex.
yeah, I'm going to let him read through this stuff, and then I'm going to talk to him about that project and see what he thinks about it. But
Okay.
I'm confident he'll.
That's a great connection, Joe.
Yeah, and he's really versed with the gut biome, and he works with peptides, and the guy is brilliant. Like as much as you know your science, this guy knows his science, and
Oh, sure.
he's been working with cannabis medicine for a long time, and he knows a lot of the cutting edge research with that. But he's been working a lot with peptides and gut biome, and it's all really leading edge stuff. So he's really interested in this because it's new to him too. And
Okay. Well,
so,
we need people like him on the team desperately.
exactly. Well, I'm going to do what I can to bring him aboard. And Robert, as always, I thank you for taking your time to share
Thank
with
you, Joe.
us.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you on Sunday.
You bet.
All right. Take care
Bye,
now.
everybody.
All right. It's been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine. I want to thank all of our listeners for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
You bet.
This has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. We produce this show so that people can share their stories, people that have overcome obstacles, people that are undergoing obstacles. We're building a community of health-minded individuals. If you're interested in supporting the show, please leave a review on the platform you're listening to it on. If you're interested in becoming a guest, please send an email to itsjoegrumbine@gmail.com, or you can send a note into the notes section of the podcast. All right. Well, thank you for supporting this show, and we hope you've enjoyed it.